Today my goal is to show you guys how to make melodies for Domn Toliver. I'm going to go over one of my samples from my newest sample pack, Nebula Volume 2. Here's a preview of the sample. Now, Domn Toliver's production is known to have a lot of nylon guitars, synths, usually like some ambient textures, pads, different things of that sort. I'm gonna break down all of the tracks in this sample, instrument by instrument, and then show you guys the effects chains that I have on each one. Kind of also talk about the music theory behind my thought process and how you can recreate something like this for yourself. Let's get into it. So the first thing I actually started off with for this sample was a piano. This is the piano plugin from Arpeggio, and it's just the American initialized preset. I use 2 chords. We've got an E flat minor as well as a B flat minor. Very, very basic. Moving on to the next sound. Next we have this main melody, which is like a synthy bell. And it just repeats 4 times. Now the theory behind this is I just took the root note of the first chord, which is E flat or D sharp, and then I went up to the 4th note in the scale, the 3rd note in the scale, and then the 2nd note in the scale. Now a really cool trick for getting kind of dark, eerie melodies is to use half steps. Now a half step is when you don't skip a note and you go to the very next note. Once I got this pattern, I took all of it and then went down 5. The next sound I have is actually from a free analog lab bank. It's a Mellotron bank that my boy Kid Capone and I made. I'll leave a link in the description for that. You can download it totally free. This is like a one shot that we imported into Mellotron and added more effects over. Now my thought process behind this was I just used the root note of the first chord and then a passing note, and then the root note of the 2nd chord, and then another passing note to bring me back to the root the next time it comes around. Next, and probably my favorite sound in this, is actually just a very basic arpeggio. I used the Prophet 75 Lead Soft is the name of the patch. And that's what it sounds like without the arpeggio, but with it. And you can recreate this with really any arpeggio plugin. This is the stock Logic one. It's set to 16th notes up and down. The variation is just set to 1, and the octave range is 3 octaves. So this is the basic foundation of the sample, but what you're gonna see now is the effects and what we did to make it sound a little bit more eerie, a little bit more like a Domn Toliver track would. First thing is we just reverse the piano right where the chords hit. Pretty straightforward. Next is the melody. Here's the melody without the effects. And here's the melody with the effects. Next we have the pluck, again without the effects and with the effects. Now for the arp, I just cut where each chord would hit, so that way we only had the little part here and here. And then with the effects. Now what I went ahead and did next was grabbed everything, bounced it into one audio file, added halftime, and for halftime this is the settings that I use, just 1 bar. This is the basic preset that it comes up with, but what you need to do is you actually need to bounce this in place. So you need to print this effect on, so that way we can make these little chops. Now for the chops, what I do here, if I zoom in, you could see I chop it not quite halfway from the last 2 main markers here. And then I fade it in. You can do this kind of by ear. You just want to pull back a little bit of each chop, and where you make the cut is going to be where you get the rhythm. So if you want it to be faster, you make more cuts. If you want it to be just on each beat or each measure, whatever you want, this is what it sounds like. So you see, you kind of get that like chopped feel. It gives it a little bit of a bounce, and doing the fades will make it not click or pop. Then we have a sub, the Jupiter bass, the Burley bass preset, and then just a low pass filter on it. Next, this is actually me playing guitar, so you could obviously replicate this with a guitar plugin, try to come up with just a similar melody. Again, sticking to the notes that are in the scale, finding notes that are a half step apart in the scale to keep that kind of eerie vibe. But here's the guitar part that I played with the effects. And then the final thing in this sample is actually my voice. Here's what it sounds like without the plugins. And with the plugins. And then something just as a cherry on top that I like to do, a little bit of arrangement for, I guess, the producer who might be flipping this, is take everything and then just throw a basic halftime on it with a little bit of EQ. So here's that. If you guys want this sample as well as 19 others, go ahead and check out my new Sample Pack Nebula Volume 2. I'll leave a link in the description. There's also a free version if you want to check that out with no commitment. Just try it out, download it. Let me know what you guys think. I'm open to all feedback. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace and God bless.